Hi, this is Anita for Dusty Roads Podcast. One of the things that you need to do when you are traveling is to really think about how to protect yourself from scams. And I'd like to say that when you are traveling, this is really, really important because a lot of times when you're traveling, whether it's for work or it's for pleasure, you may find that you are extremely busy. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you have jet lag. Maybe you look at something and you don't quite read it all the way. And so you end up making mistakes you would not make otherwise. So I want to talk a little bit about ways or things you can do to kind of protect yourself when you are traveling, or some different types of scams that can happen, that maybe, different types of scams that could happen to you and ways that you can look to avoid them. One of the first one is what I call the honey trap. One of the oldest tricks of the scammer's book is a honey trap. This basically is the scheme involves a scammer attempting to draw you into their life and professing love and devotion only to request money under variable pretenses. When I lived in Bangkok, Thailand years and years ago, we would always say this, like, you'd see this older guy with a young girl, and the young girl would say to himself, like, "Oh, you're so handsome. You're the most handsome guy I've ever met. And oh, I just love you so much. And oh, you're just so handsome. You're so wonderful." And, a lot of times these guys would just be like, "Wow, this is so great." And they'd give her anything she wanted. That, folks, is a honey scam. You can protect yourself with the honey scam by being skeptical of quick declarations of love. If somebody very quickly, professes their love to you and they hardly even know you, and they come up to you in a bar and say, "Oh, you're so handsome. I just love you so much." And you think they're being realistic about it. Well, then I am sorry to tell you, that is not love. That is basically a form of manipulation. You also learn to verify their identity. A lot of times they'll tell you these sad stories or these sad things, and it's not true at all. I found this many times in some places like China, where there were some parts of China before where people would go and they'd be adopting Chinese babies. And in that particular area of Guangzhou, where a lot of the Americans and others came, this is quite a few years ago, to adopt Chinese girls, they would, stay at this particular hotel to wait for visas and things to come through. And the hotel happened to be actually kind of right next to the U.S. consulate there. And if when I'd walk in that area, you see these women holding babies, and they'd start saying, "Oh, I can't feed my baby. Oh, I can't feed my baby." And, only to find out later that it wasn't even their baby. They were just like renting somebody's random baby and going out in the street and getting money. And so, you really need to be, careful and be able to verify things, because a lot of times these scammers, they play on certain people in certain areas because that's what they feel like people want to do. They obviously went to this area of Guangzhou, and when they were trying to scam me this particular time, they probably thought that I was there to, adopt a baby. And so they thought that all they had to do was just, talk about, oh, poor them, and they had no money, and oh, they needed to feed their baby, and et cetera, et cetera. And then I would then hand them over $100. You have to verify things. Never send money to someone you haven't met in person. This is the big one, right? Like, if you haven't met them in person and they're telling you for some reason that, they can't be able to see you, that, oh, maybe they're stuck in a war zone, which is one of the big ones now, or, for some other reason, don't believe it at all. Unless you can see them face to face and look in their eyes, do not send any money. The other one is the poor me trick, where I kind of allude on that a bit with the women with the babies that would rent the babies. Sometimes, they would, this, it becomes like, "Oh, poor me, I have no money. Poor me, I all these other type of things." We see this all even in cities in the United States, you can see the same thing too. Research common scams in the area where you're traveling so that you understand what tactics are being used, understand what the scams are. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. And give wisely. If you really want to give, maybe give to a reputable charity. Give to a local reputable charity, someone is going to use the money right, instead of putting the money in the hands of some random person you're not sure about. The other thing in today's world is banking, of course, and bank communications. If you are traveling and you're making some, bank accounts, first of all, number one, use a VPN so that you cannot have somebody hack your computer or your system at all. And then, make sure any phones or other things that you get that you verify and check that it is the actual bank. If my bank sends me a notice, I will usually get on the phone and call them and a number that I know is their number because I'm not sure whether or not it's a scam. I just got a email the other day, which sort of, took me by surprise twice. It was for Geek Squad for Best Buys. And I know I don't buy much at Best Buys in the United States, but I did maybe once. It was about something renewing the Geek Squad. And I thought, I hope they're not charging me for this. And then as I looked closer, I saw wasn't even from a Best Buy's email. They weren't even trying to cover up the fact that they were scamming. They were just trying to get somebody off their loop and that somebody would click on it and they would make a payment, not $49.99, but $499.99. So they essentially just changed the dollar or changed the dot on a payment and was just hoping that somebody would be stupid enough to pay them. So if you're traveling and you're tired, make sure you really check this. Be wary of, too good to be true offers. If somebody's giving you too good to be true offer, there might be a reason why. If they're saying that they will take you around town for half the cost of somebody else, there might be something else in it for them. If they are trying to, for some reason, trying to give you you think this offer is too good to be true, there probably is a reason why it's too good to be true. There is more than likely a scam element involved in this. So this means that you really need to understand what the market rate is, what is going on in the area where you're traveling, so that you really understand the knowledge of what is going on so you can tell whether or not you're being scammed or not. And, maybe even then they're giving you too high of a price. It doesn't have to be a low price. It could be a high price. They're charging you double or triple. Any of us that have traveled have had this happen to us with taxis. We're suddenly get a taxi and the driver wants to have double or triple what it actually should be. We had this happen to me once with a friend of mine whose husband actually worked for the U.S. Embassy. And, the driver was trying to get more money from us. And actually, as it ended up, the embassy guards happened to be by there. And the embassy guards came and basically got us out of this really bad situation. But where this guy basically was trying to rip us off for like 3 or 4 times the amount we knew. But we knew what the amount should be because we did this route all the time. And we knew exactly what the cost should be for this. So we were willing to pay him the regular cost for it, but he wanted to have 2 or 3 times the amount. And this actually was, I should point out, was a car that we were waiting for a Grab taxi to come, which is unmarked. And the guy saw us waiting there and we got in without verifying we were in the actual taxi we should have been. So in a way, it was kind of our fault too, because of the fact that we should have verified we got in the right car. And then it ended up being a real mess and almost got violent, which was quite, surprising for us both. Protect your personal information, get a VPN. I've talked about this many times. If you're traveling, invest in a VPN, a personal VPN. When you're doing banking or other things that you can protect yourself, find ways to make sure that you are protected. Be cautious online, be cautious of stuff you give out on social media. WhatsApp now is a big one where people are trying to scam you, as is, Facebook and other places. Stay informed about new scams. A lot of times, there's websites dedicated to this. There's been a lot in the news recently about people being scammed out of money. And also, U.S. Embassy may actually even have some safety concerns about certain areas of the world where you're traveling, where they may tell you to watch out for this or watch out for that. Before you're going to go somewhere where you're unfamiliar with, check those out and see if there's anything that you should know about. Check independent blogs and others who maybe have gone there, who have traveled there, to get information also from them. But most of all, if you're going to travel, have happy travels and enjoy your travels, but be vigilant. Look around and just be wise. And if you're wise, it will all be okay. This is Anita from the Dusty Roads Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for joining with us. We hope that you'll subscribe. You'll be part of our community. We love to have you be part of our community. and that you'll join with us and be part of living your life as a global citizen. Thank you so much.